What's going on, everybody? TRAE4PAY back in the building, and today we are going to be reacting to a video that's going to explain the Alex Murdaugh case. As you guys know, I've said before, I don't know anything about this trial. It just wrapped up, I think, a couple weeks ago. I've been avoiding all coverage for it so I can react to it on the channel. So today it's just going to be a little video telling me exactly what happened. A lot of people in the comments say it's a lot of pieces and parts to this that are going to blow my mind like once I learn about them. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. But before I do, I just want to remind everybody to please keep the comments respectful, just because there are victims in this situation. You guys always do keep the comments respectful, but this is just how I start every different crime series that I'm doing now. I'm not going to do too much talking. I hope you all are doing good, and we're going to go ahead and get into it.
On the evening of June 7th, 2021,
so what was the motive for
Paul,
doing this?
Maggie, and Alex Murdaugh were at the kennels on the Moselle property in Islandton, South Carolina. All three family members' voices can be heard on a video that Paul recorded of his friend's dog at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. Moments later, Paul heads over to the feed room connected to the kennels, and phone activity shows he was texting. He sends his last text at 8:48 p.m. and his phone locks forever a moment later. At this point, Alex ambushes his son. Paul Murdaugh was shot with buckshot from a 12-gauge shotgun in the chest. The shot struck the left side of Paul's chest and exited near his armpit. Amazingly enough, it did not pierce the chest or cause any internal bleeding. He would have survived this injury. This exhibit from the prosecution shows he was standing about 5 feet into the feed room, and the muzzle of the shotgun would have been just past the door frame. The medium velocity blood spatter seen on the floor here is the result of gravity pulling blood down from that wound. This hole in the window shows the trajectory of the buckshot pellets in the feed room.
No defensive wounds at all. His hands are down.
His own dad.
And he takes that shot, buckshot to the chest. And any person who did that would probably think that took care of business, because this buckshot, but for some reason he was canted this way and it went through. It was 1,000,001 shot, that it didn't kill him.
Man.
Alex thought it did. But he thinks Paul's shot. And you heard the testimony that Paul appears in the feed room doorway. Is Alex putting down that shotgun to pick up the blackout and is startled by Paul? And that's why the angle's like that, and catches Paul like that, and goes up into the ceiling, as you've heard the testimony from Kinsey.
This is already crazy. That's so messed up, man. He survived it, and then probably, I don't even want to play the scenario out of my head. This is just gruesome.
He blows.
What?
Blows his brains out.
This time it was birdshot from within 2 feet of Paul. The second shot traveled from his shoulder up his neck and out the top of his head, causing immediate catastrophic damage, severing and ejecting his brain from his skull. Paul's face was still intact, suggesting that he was shot while slightly turned toward the shooter. There were bloodstains and body tissue on the entry door, threshold, frame, and wall and ceiling above the door, including high-velocity blood spatter at the top of the door. Spatter was also identified on the floor and shelf to the right of the doorway. Other evidence at the scene includes hair found on the top of the door and wall, skull fragments on the floor, and brain tissue on the outside walkway. There were also defects from the shotgun pellets on the steel door and in the door frame, both at the top and on the right side of the door frame.
Jesus, man.
On the other side of the storage shed at 8:48 p.m., Maggie reads her last text, and a moment later at 8:49, her phone locks for the last time. At 8:53, Maggie's phone shows 59 steps traveled. It is believed that after hearing gunfire, Maggie ran from the other side of the storage shed to see what was going on. As Maggie approached the feed room near this overhang area, she would have caught a glimpse of her son Paul lying on the concrete in a pool of his own blood with his head half blown off.
Maggie sees what happens, and she comes running over there, running to her baby. Probably the last thing on her mind, thinking that it was him who had done this, she's running to her baby.
Then she was shot down by her husband with a .300 blackout rifle. Maggie sustained 5 distinct gunshot wounds from at least 4 shots. 3 of these injuries were non-fatal. The first 2 shots were parallel to each other, one on her left upper thigh and one on her abdomen that exited around her kidneys. She also sustained a gunshot wound to the wrist. Stippling from around Maggie's wounds indicated that the first 2 shots had been fired from within 3 feet. The forensic pathologist testified that the shot fired into Maggie's abdomen while standing would have caused her to bend over or fall to her hands and knees, setting up the first of the 2 fatal shots. The first fatal injury came from behind, entering first her breast and then her jaw into her brain, immediately killing her. It is believed that the shooter then circled Maggie to deliver the second fatal injury into the crown of her head. 6 fired cartridge cases were found in a walking cane handle shaped pattern, indicating that both Maggie and the shooter were moving as each shot was fired. The groundskeeper of the kennels testified that the garden hose was not put up in the way that he did each time, and that there was more water pooled in the kennel area.
So he tried to clean up the evidence. Okay, a lot of you, like, in the Daryl Brooks videos I do, like, I try to not really, like, make sense of it. It's like you try to understand the motive for these types of things. And it's like he did all this and now he's trying to rinse the evidence off. Like, this is some cold-blooded stuff. And you would have to imagine somebody would have to be extremely selfish to actually go through with something like this. Because in the Chris Watts interrogation, I know I keep going back to Chris Watts, you get a glimpse into just how selfish these dudes are, you know? Because in Chris's situation, he just wanted to be free to run off with his mistress. And I even said, like, why doesn't he just leave that? He doesn't need to kill his family to do that. But it's like, whatever this dude's motive is, like, it doesn't even matter anymore. Say if that was what his situation was, he could have just left. Whatever it is that he felt that he decided to not like his family for anymore, why not just go out the door and leave? Like, if it's getting to that point where you're like, oh, I don't like these people this much, just leave, man.
Than there usually was.
It wouldn't take long to strip down and wash yourself off. Get in that cart and head back to the house.
From 9:02 to 9:06, Alec's phone indicates he traveled 283 steps, leaving for his mother's house at 9:07 p.m.
Far more steps in a shorter time period than any time.
So he
prior,
actually,
as you've seen from the testimony in this case. So what were you so busy doing? Going to the bathroom?
No, I don't think that I
Get on a treadmill?
went to the bathroom. No, I didn't get on a treadmill.
Jogging place?
Nope, I didn't jog in
Jumping
place.
jacks?
No, sir, I did not do jumping jacks.
One moment later, data from Alec's vehicle
He went to
recorded
his
him
mom's
passing the
house
exact
after doing
location
this.
on Moselle Road where Maggie's phone would be found in the shrubbery the following day.
And you know what's even more evil about that? You know his mom had to ask, hey, how is Maggie and Paul? How are they doing? Because she's Paul's grandmother. So you know she's going to ask, how are they doing? And that's her daughter-in-law.
His vehicle recorded
He said
him
it'd be a lot
speeding
of
up
layers
after
to
passing
this. You guys said that.
and maintaining a high rate of speed until he reaches Alameda. At 10:05 and 57 seconds, Alec's Suburban arrived back at the kennels, and he calls 911 about 20 seconds later at 10:06 p.m.
Disgusting.
Alex Murdaugh, my wife and child have been shot badly.
Alex told investigators he came home and found them.
Central Sub 17 scene is secure. Got a Whiskey Fox, Whiskey Mike, both gunshot wounds to the head.
Sir, I want to let you know because of the scene, I did go get a gun and bring it down here.
It's in your vehicle? Do you have any guns on you at all?
No, sir. It's leaning up
Okay.
against the side of my car.
Okay. You're fine, man. You're fine. Turn around for me.
I don't have any.
Okay. Yes, sir. I see that. Okay. This is your wife and son? Okay.
This sick little
How
song
did
and
you pull
dance
up?
that he's
From
doing.
back there?
I went to the house and they weren't home, which was odd. I tried to call.
Okay.
And then I knew they had been down here before I left to go to my mom.
I pulled up and I could see them, and You know, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad. My boy over there, I could see it was. I could see his brain on. And I ran over to Maggie.
I wonder if there's footage from the where these, I don't know if these are officers or detectives right now, but it's like the officers that are speaking to him. I wonder if they've come out and talked about their experience with like this initial interaction with him, and if they felt like something was off. I feel like maybe there may have been some instances where it's like, oh, he was acting a bit strange at this part, or when he first came up, he was composed, and then he, you know, then started crying and acting erratic, like he flipped a switch or something. Like, you hear these kind of stories, and it starts to, like, you can better imagine the situation. You're like, okay, so they already could tell that something was off. But you know they have to play along. They can't just immediately, like, go for it and say, you're the one that did this. But this is disgusting right now.
And, actually, I think I tried to turn Paul over first. You know, I tried to turn him over, and I don't know, I figured it out. His cell phone popped out of his pocket. I started to try to do something with it, thinking maybe, but then I put it back down really quickly. Then I went to my wife, and I mean, I could see.
Did you touch Maggie at all?
I did. I touched them both. Okay. I tried to take, I tried to do it as limited as possible, but I tried to take their pulse on both of them.
Neither of the murder weapons were ever found, though prosecutors believe that both are family weapons, as it was determined that matching case cartridges were found in other parts of the Moselle property.
But we know, unlike the expert they call from Connecticut, where they can't even get ARs, who doesn't know about people riding around on property, he doesn't know about Paul and the two guns he likes to use, he doesn't know about this family and how common those guns are together, says, well, his only conclusion is, oh, it would be practical for somebody just to fire out the clip. But this is him. This is Alec, the prosecutor, the lawyer, and he's thinking through this. He's thought through this. He's going to use two guns because it's going to confuse people that perhaps there were two shooters. But again, it doesn't make sense.
You know, I totally forgot just now. He is a lawyer. So he probably has so much experience. That is insane. So he's literally working the system to say, okay, I'm used to, I guess he used two different weapons to make it seem as if there are two people. That is, wow.
Two family weapons.
That's something I didn't even think about.
Indicators of gunshot residue were found on Alec's hands, shirt, and his shorts. His shoes did not test positive for gunshot residue. The forensic examiner testified that the white t-shirt and shorts were in the vicinity of a gun being fired, or the residue transferred from a surface that had gunshot residue. And to be fair, he did retrieve a weapon from the house after apparently discovering the bodies, so it could have transferred from that weapon. It was also revealed that after the roadside shooting incident in September of 2021, that Alec's seatbelt in his Suburban had gunshot residue on it, though a time frame for when that particle of residue was placed there could not be established.
I'm confused about this. There was a gunshot in a car. Is this something that's happened to him before, or something where it's like he's tried to do something to his family? Or I don't know. I might have to look at another video as well to go a little bit more in depth. But
the most significant piece of evidence when it comes to gunshot residue is this blue jacket that the defense fought hard to get excluded from evidence. It was recovered in October of 2021 from the home of Alec's mother. The forensic scientist testified that a significant number of particles of gunshot residue were found on the jacket. More particles were found inside the hood than the outside. The expert testified that the jacket could have been worn inside out, or, and as the prosecution theorized, a recently fired firearm could have been wrapped inside the jacket. Additional key evidence was recovered from Paul's phone, which was a video recorded on Snapchat earlier in the evening before the shootings, which showed Alec in a blue collared shirt and long khaki pants, showing that he did change his clothes. The Murdaugh family housekeeper testified she remembered Alec having this shirt on that day because she specifically remembered helping him fix his collar. This shirt was never recovered, and Blanca, the housekeeper, testified that she never saw that shirt again, and she was the one who handled all the family's.
He more than likely stashed it wherever he hid those guns. Wherever he disposed of those,
Clothes, laundry,
I'm sure he put
etc.
the guns there
Additionally,
too.
Shelly Smith, the caretaker at his mother's house that night, testified that he was wearing the white t-shirt and shorts when he came to visit, but that he had Sperry topsider shoes on and not the GSR-free sneakers he was wearing when police arrived.
Any shoes that were canvas type shoes?
The boat shoes, like the Sperry.
Sperry shoes?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember those?
Yes, sir. They used to sit in the closet.
They used to sit in the closet. Okay. After June 7th of 2021, did you ever see the Sperry boat shoes again?
No, sir. I do not recall seeing them in the closet.
Never ever?
No, sir.
Shelly.
That's very, very crucial stuff. And like I said, I know I keep going back to like the Chris Watts thing. Once I react to some more trials and cases and stuff, like I'll have a wider range of things to compare stuff to. But it's like, even in that, when Chris Watts, when his wife Shanann, when her friend realized she wasn't answering the door, that was a very crucial part of the case, because she was able to realize, like, hey, Chris isn't acting right. I like stuff where family members and even friends, or like just people that are close to the circle, they can already tell something's off. So and stuff like this is like super important. Like, I've started to realize that the more that I'm seeing this stuff, how important that is. And people notice too. They know when something's off, because when they've been around you for so long, they can tell.
He testified that Alec had also asked her in kind of a roundabout way to lie about the amount of time he was at Alameda that night, suggesting to her it was more like 40 minutes rather than the 20 minutes that she remembers, and that data from his vehicle and his phone corroborates.
What was he telling you about that he was at the house the night of the murder?
That he'd been there 30 to 40 minutes.
Did he indicate to you what he wanted you to do with that information?
No, no.
What did he say?
He just said that he was at the house for 30 to 40 minutes, I said.
Was he there 30 or 40 minutes that night?
Not to my recall.
Why are you crying, Ms. Smith?
This is sad stuff.
A good family, and I love working here. And I'm sorry all this happened. They're good people, you know.
He wasn't there no 30 or 40 minutes, was he?
No.
Get back. Get back.
So wait, when was this video?
Get back.
Was this before it happened? Jeez. And then she comes up. He just straight up executes. That's crazy. Goes to his mom's house, comes back, pretends like he's just now discovering it.
My wife and child just got back.
This timeline is crazy. I'm still gonna need to look at another video, I'd imagine, because there's some holes here that I'm not completely understanding. Like, they mentioned something about a car, and so a gunshot in the car. I don't know if that's a situation where it's like he's attempted to do this before or something. Like the actual motive of why he did what he did, I want to go into a little bit more detail about that.
There's 2 more that don't get to testify. We couldn't bring you any eyewitnesses because they were murdered. But common sense and human nature can speak on behalf of Maggie and Paul. When you look at this in its totality, common sense and human nature can speak for them. And they deserve a voice. Everything he did was meant to try to frustrate the forensics as a lawyer and a prosecutor with the 2 guns and the manufactured alibi, and not taking his phone down to the scene, deleting call logs, making short phone calls, bringing up the boat case, moving Maggie's phone, changing clothes, looking at Paul's phone, calling Rogan, or trying to call Rogan. One man controlled this crime scene initially, and that was Alex.
Right. Yeah, the experience of him being a lawyer, he definitely was...
There were some things he couldn't.
He understands how to manipulate a crime scene.
And we brought those to you.
Sinister stuff, man. But like I said, I'm gonna react to another video that's gonna go into a little bit more detail. So they mentioned a couple things that I just want to clear up, because I see it's quite a few videos on YouTube that are explaining everything that happened. This one was great for an introduction, so I'm just gonna dive a little deeper into this and read some things and see what I can find out. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you did something good for somebody today. Hope somebody did something good for you, and I will catch you guys in the next one.